Hello and welcome to the Beardcast. Today I have two people with me. Normally I have one. Well, there we go. Mr Shepu, who's for some reason on my left. Mr Walker, who is always on my right.
There we go, right-hand man.
Exactly. What are we going to be doing today, Mr Walker?
Well, today we have a very special guest with us, Mr Shepu. He hasn't been on the podcast before, and we're going to be asking him a few great questions. So should we take it away?
Okay.
Mr Shepu, question time. Right, so Mr Shepu, if you would just like to answer these questions, using one word, that would be brilliant. Do you belong to a violent crew, Mr Shepu?
No.
Have you ever flew, Mr Shepu?
Yes.
Have you ever seen a shrew, Mr Shepu?
No.
What's your favourite flavour chew, Mr Shepu?
Sorry?
Your favourite flavoured chew?
With one word, I haven't really had any, so...
That's not
That's
really
not one word.
I'll say
We're
mint.
talking about
Mint.
Starburst.
Oh, okay.
You can have a mint chew,
Mint.
I suppose. Is your favourite number 2, Mr Shepu?
No.
Is your favourite colour blue?
Yes.
Have you ever been proud of something you drew?
Yes.
Do you like the sound of a bird's coo, Mr Shepu?
No.
Do you prefer the sink or the loo?
No.
Tell us something new.
Something new.
Oh dear. Do you like a brew? Do you like a brew?
No.
A tea?
A tea?
You don't like tea?
More of a coffee person.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Do you know someone named Sue, Mr Shepu?
Yes.
Have you ever regretted something you threw?
Like
Yes.
Did you
shoe.
have pains as you grew, Mr Shepu?
No.
Oh dear.
Have you ever wore one shoe, Mr Shepu?
No.
Excellent. And that is question time with Mr Shepu. Question time with Mr Shepu. Right, so it is. We might have Mr Shepu with us today, but as
some
usual,
reason.
we're going to be speaking about what you've been doing this week. And I know
Okay.
Mr Shepu has also been in a few of your lessons with you, so he can maybe help you out in this one when we talk about history. History with Mr Shepu.
So, let's begin. I'll talk about history. Today, or in history, I've been learning about what is it? I can't even bloody say it. What is it called, Mr. Shepu?
Munich Putsch.
The Munich Putsch. There we go. What is the Munich Putsch, you ask? Mr. Shepu now will answer, won't you?
Thank you, Mr Shepu.
Thank you.
Well, I'll let Edis, as he was in the lesson, remind me.
What is it called? The Munich Putsch?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's
And
to
also
do-
you have homework due, is it tomorrow, sir?
Exactly, yeah.
I have homework due, don't I, Mr. Shepu?
Tomorrow regarding this incident.
Yeah, basically, these two blokes who
One went on to be quite famous for all the wrong reasons.
decided to go with Hitler,
Oh dear.
isn't it?
You should never decide that.
No, you shouldn't.
He's probably the last person you want to follow to do
Yeah.
anything.
Exactly, apart from kill people.
That's something he did.
So they both ratted him out. They called the police and they told the police what they were doing. Or he was doing, shall I say. What he was doing was he was making an army and they were going to go and kill everyone. What
As you
they
do.
were- As you do, you know. So the police got in trouble. Sorry, the police got in trouble.
Edis, do you actually know what happened in the Munich Putsch?
I do, but I don't.
It
remember.
doesn't sound like you do, because my history knowledge is shady at best.
Yeah. Is that why you go on Wikipedia and stuff?
Yeah, you know, and I think Wikipedia and all sorts of things like this can be very good. That's the Munich Putsch, Edis, is as the German economy floundered and the government struggled to cope with the turmoil, a group of right-wing politicians in Bavaria planned to take this opportunity to overthrow the government.
Oh dear.
Right. So, the right-wing leaders of the Bavarian government were Karl, Caesar and Lossow. They planned an uprising to commence in mid-November. The Nazi Party agreed to support this uprising, And who was the leader in the Nazi Party, Eddies?
Hitler.
Adolf Hitler.
Good old
However,
Adolf.
on November the 4th,
I want to call my child Adolf, you know.
that's up to you, Eddies, but Adolf Mustafa doesn't sound too nice. Okay? Right. But the right-wing leaders decided to postpone the revolution. This infuriated Hitler. He had a bit of a short temper. Sensing the weakness of the Weimar government and seeing the turmoil that the country was in, he decided to stage the uprising using only the Nazi Party. He rampaged through the parts of Munich, targeting Jewish property. What was his problem
He just didn't
with
like
Jewish people?
Because he got fixed on this theory where Jewish people were causing all the problems.
He became infatuated with it, didn't
Yeah.
he? He just carried on. Having agreed to support the Nazis, Karl was released. He immediately contacted the police. And that basically means that Hitler was caught because he didn't have the necessary people enabled to overthrow.
Good old Hitler, always getting himself in trouble.
He was a bit of a mischief maker. So that's history for today. I can see Mr Shepu's got a bit of a worried look on his face, thinking, what did I get myself into? I don't understand what's going on. Eddies, if you'd like to ask Mr Shepu a question.
What would you do, Mr Shepu?
And that is the next part of this show. What would you do, Mr Shepu? Okay, Mr Shepu. So, we're going to ask you a question that may be quite inappropriate and quite controversial.
Okay.
And
The clever thing to do
is
is to not be inappropriate. But this is my show, I can do what I want.
you can.
There we go.
So basically, I'm going to ask you this question, and then we ask, what would you do, Mr Shepu? Here we go. You have a 1-year warranty on all computers you build. However, one day the client brings the computer back to you because it has totally failed. You open up the case and find massive amounts of dust and pet hair in the CPU, heatsink and power supply. This was obviously what caused the hardware failure, overheating. Do you still provide your warranty, or did they void it by mistreating their computer? Mr Shepu, what would you do?
I'm quite nice, so I'll probably allow them for this incident.
Really?
Yeah.
When it's your own company and you could lose out on the money because they didn't check the hair on the floor and it was brought into the fans and then swished around inside their computer.
That's looking at it this way. I'll actually tell them no, to bugger off.
And that is what Mr Shepu would do. He would say,
He'll bugger off, that's what he'd do.
okay, so that was the first question for Mr Shepu,
What would
and he
you
said that he wouldn't do it. Now, we've got another question for you, Mr Shepu, and this one is a bit controversial too, so I apologise in advance. What would you do if your friend recommended a food for your dogs that you felt was inferior to what you were already feeding? What would you do if your breeder recommended a food for your dogs that you felt was inferior to what you were already feeding? What would you do if your vet recommended a food for your dog that you felt was inferior to what you were already feeding him? What would you do, Mr Shepu?
I would ignore their advice and stick with what I'm feeding them.
That is absolutely brilliant, Mr Shepu. And that was excellent there, Eddies. I think we really got an insight into the mind of Mr Shepu there and how he would...
That has to be Mr Shepu's drink now.
Okay, how Mr Shepu would deal and present himself in those sort of different situations. We found that he would keep calm in both situations.
Well, not really, because he told the guy to bugger off, didn't he? That's not keeping
And that,
calm.
in customer service is invaluable when you're trying to set up your own business. He
Yeah.
could go to his friend now and say, I wouldn't go and shop in Mr Shepu PC for you, because his customer service
PC for Shepu.
is absolutely dreadful.
Exactly.
So, Eddies, on to science. Science. So, Mr Shepu, you're with Eddies in science. How can you say he's going so far? Where does he need to improve, and where's he doing well?
Well, he's doing well with the work we're basically going through the portfolio. We're doing posters one after another.
Continuously.
Which
Continuous poster making. Would you say it's kind of like a poster sweatshop where you've got children designing posters for an evil overlord?
Yeah. What's
Okay.
her name? What's the teacher's name?
she hasn't told us that yet.
She has
Wow.
actually not told us her name.
That's
Seriously.
a bit
Seriously.
inconvenient. Yeah. Normally you start off by just introducing yourself to the class. So, yeah, okay, Mr Shepu. So he's good at continuously doing posters,
Yeah.
but where could he improve?
Well, I think what he could do is, in some lessons he does, especially when it's closer to the end of the, when we have a double period, he does sometimes, I understand, making posters continuously does make him a bit tired.
As
Just
it
about-
would do,
As
yeah.
it would.
Just keeping the focus, and I think he'll be all
I
right.
think I could probably do 3 posters in a row before I started to think,
What the hell am I doing with my life?
maybe. But it
Yeah.
depends what kind of posters you're doing. If it's something you're interested in, like Max, you could probably make 4 posters. Am I wrong?
Exactly.
You could make posters all day long. If Bill Job, what was his name? Phil Job?
Bill Gates.
No, he
Steve
works
Jobs.
for, yeah, Steve Jobs. If he was still alive today and he said, Eddies, I need you to make some promotional Apple posters, but I've lost my printing equipment and our factory's shut down, I need you to hand draw 10,000 Apple posters.
I would do
promoting
it
Apple,
if he
you would
only
do it.
paid me.
If he only paid you.
Or I would print one and then photocopy it like
No,
£1,000.
because the electricity's, we've got no more electricity on Earth. There's no printers available. That's why he needs you to do it, because there's been a massive system-wide shutdown. No electricity.
Then I would get an old print. You know one of them ones where they used to make newspapers with?
Yeah.
I'd stamp out the kind of like the template and add some liquids to it. Red, green, and blue and whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'd print it out on like big sheets of paper and then. That's
Edis
what I'd do.
always has an answer for everything. So
Exactly.
when the apocalypse comes, Mr Shepu, make sure Edis is with you. Right, so maths. Mr Shepu, you're in maths with him also, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is he doing well in maths? Can we say that he's doing well?
He's doing well at the moment. Yeah.
Yes or no?
Working wise, yes.
Brilliant.
Excellent. So is he doing all homework? Is that completed?
I've just received one of the homeworks that's due this week, so he's on track.
Hopefully you'll get through that.
Exactly. Only one.
Only one piece of homework.
Yeah.
So far, this one, but he's last week he was a bit absent. We had a.
I was a bit
You're a bit
absent.
absent. Sorry, I was a bit absent.
He missed the test, so we'll have to sort that out.
Eddies, you should never miss tests.
I'm sorry, but I did have.
Oh dear.
So I couldn't.
Yeah,
really
that's
do
never really
anything.
good to come in with that, is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Travel. Travel with Edis Mustafa. So, Edis, we hear that there is terrible traffic outside.
Exactly.
Would you like to have a look quickly? Thank you. Edis is just approaching the window as he usually does, and he'll take a look
My
outside, sir,
travel hole.
and he will tell us what's going on outside. It looks pretty clear, Edis.
Yeah. The
So-
window looks pretty clear, but nothing else does. Broken the window. There is. Mr. Khan is outside actually.
Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan
Excellent.
in his yellow Mercedes.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. He has like lots of toilet paper.
That's very strange.
Yeah, I know.
Very mysterious. And
And
that's
like-
travel.
Right, so
So-
Mr. Shepu, what would you do?
No, we've already done what would you do.
Okay.
Now we're on to Mr. Shepu. What would you like to do?
Okay.
Now, obviously, you're in Knights Academy for a reason. You haven't just turned up off the street. You've obviously got
I
some.
think he did.
He could have done Eddie's, but this is the chance now that we're going to use to find out if that is actually the case.
Did Miss Maria Allen just ring you up and say the clever thing to do is come down to Knights Academy?
Yes, what is the long-term plan for you, Mr Shepu?
Well, I'm planning on getting a few more years' experience in schools before I.
What, in this one?
It could be in this school, in different,
Any school.
any
That's
It
the way
better be in
Mr.
this
Shepu
one
rolls.
because I don't want you to leave because Mr. has left,
A lot of people leave, don't they, Eddie?
Mr. Neely left,
Mr Yardley.
Mr. Yardley left, and then what's the name? The one that I had first. Sorry, I can't remember your name. What
There you
was-
go.
Yeah.
Miss Royston, maybe?
No. The first ever TA I had
Oh,
was
yeah, Miss Neil.
Miss Neal and Miss Royston.
Yeah,
They all left.
They've all left.
They all buggered off.
But you've had to cope with loss, Eddies, and
Yeah.
hopefully throughout this can teach you that people are not always there forever, and
Yeah.
you can't take it. But this is Mr Shepu's chance to speak about his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll try and get a bit of experience in the schools before I apply to be a teacher and become a qualified teacher.
In what subject?
Maths.
He's got it right there. Yep.
Yeah,
Maths
you like a
and
bit
math.
of maths.
That's-
Have you always liked maths?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
It's only
was-
since last week.
It was more when I started college. I was more into the math side
Oh
of it.
dear.
There you go. That's quite good. So you went to college after school,
Yep.
not after school as in like 3:30, but when you finished school.
That's right,
You
yeah.
thought, you know what? I'm going to go to college and I'm going to brush up on my maths. And you know what? I really like maths now. It's inspired me, and I'm going to become a maths teacher.
Exactly.
What did you want to be when you were younger?
I was more into the business side of things and probably running my own business. I was
There you
thinking
go.
of that.
You could still do that. You
I
could
could still
run a
do that.
a sort of maths business. I don't know how that would work.
A mathsness.
There you go. But yeah, that's pretty good. So that is Mr Shepu. What would you like to do? Okay, so Eddies, music. What's been going down?
Lots of things have been going down. Today I have a test.
Oh
at
dear.
Period 4 and period 5. I have to revise.
Period 4's already gone.
Sorry, period 5 and period 6. Sorry.
That's good.
I have to. I'm doing a test today
On what?
on different types of instruments and
Okay.
like words like reverb.
What is reverb,
equalisation.
Eddies?
Reverb is like a type of like right reverb.
Let's do a demonstration now of Mr Shepu.
Right, do something like make a weird noise, Mr. Shepu.
Is it like that?
Yeah.
Like an echo?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's and like no, yeah. Well,
What about this?
I don't know what that is. That's
That is a dolphin, right.
exactly right. Equalisation. Equalisation lets you select or lets you customize these two things: the bass and the treble.
There we go.
Them two things.
Yeah.
You recognise that?
Yeah,
It's okay, it is.
Don't.
it's sad. It's annoying.
Very sad music.
Sad music here.
It makes me feel sad myself. Right, so equaliser is to do with the bass and treble.
Yeah.
And surely that's not going to be the whole test.
No, there's some other things we have to guess. What are the 5 woodwind instruments?
And what are they? You don't have to guess.
I don't even know. I can't remember.
Like wood and wind. You blow into the wood and you get out
Yeah.
wind.
Exactly.
That's basically what it is, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's music.
Yeah.
And now on to another piece of Mr Shepu time. We were asking you, Mr Shepu, what's your view? Okay, so Mr Shepu, we're going to give you a subject, and you've
If you,
just
say,
got to tell
if you
us-
say anything that rhymes with Mr. Shepu, I'm going to do this.
Okay, well, I'll make sure that I don't, because that could break up the podcast
Yeah.
and ruin the flow. Mr Shepu, what is your view on oats?
Oats. I'm quite a big fan of oats. I have it for breakfast, dinner, and lunch.
So you have breakfast, dinner, and then lunch?
Well-
That's a very weird order to have things.
Yeah, it is a weird thingy.
But I suppose when
But
you're eating
a weird
oats, you haven't got
thingy.
much
Yeah,
choice.
you know.
Exactly.
You just do whatever
It's
the
all
oats
same.
tell you.
It's all the same.
And what is your favourite oats? If you had to choose one oat out of all the different oats available, that you can only have one, remember, what would it be?
Nah, that's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
How about that
Edis, would you like to speak about oats for a second while I just do my research?
Go on Facebook. Well, oats, very nice things.
They are, Edis.
I don't think there's ever been a song about oats, but that's because everyone's a bit stupid and I'm not. Obviously, I love making songs about potatoes.
Right,
a piano.
I can now take over and speak with some authority, okay? Mr Shepu, do you know your pinhead from your jumbo or your oatmeal from your rolled? So, a steel cut oats, talk about them. Tell us what they're about, sir.
Well, they're basically oats that are cut from steel.
These are whole oats that have simply been cut into 2 or 3 pieces by steel cutters to produce rough, coarse oatmeal. And you might find that in oat cakes and a traditional way of making porridge. Do you eat porridge, Mr Shepu?
I do.
That's very nice. I didn't know. Porridge oats, yeah. Jumbo rolled oats and flakes. These are whole oats that have been softened with a steam and flattened between rollers to produce flakes. They use them in more muesli. Do you like muesli?
No.
You don't look like the sort of kid that would eat muesli.
I feel I've tried it though. And that's the end of this segment of Let's Ask Mr Shepu.
That wasn't Let's Ask Mr Shepu.
What is it
That
called?
was What's Your View, Mr Shepu? Okay, so Edis Mustafa, is there anything on your mind that you would like to speak about today?
There are a couple of things that were on my mind.
Okay, so hopefully we can address them now. Nothing too personal, obviously.
Obviously. That noise is for
That was
starters.
a jingle.
Dum 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 Beardly.
Yeah. So what's going on in your mind?
Well, I can't stop thinking about that spot on your nose, sir.
It is a rather violent spot.
It
I
reminds
must
me
say.
about Mr Yardley's spot on his face.
That was a vicious spot.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And the fact he had to go through that shows what a great man he was.
Yeah.
The fact it was a bad spot.
He's dead now, isn't he?
What, the spot?
No, Mr Yardley.
No, Mr Yardley is thriving.
Mr Alive. He's thriving.
Mr Yardley is thriving. But
Oh,
what
right.
about Mr Shepu? What was his childhood like? Where did he come from? We're going to ask Mr Shepu those questions right now. Without a jingle, because the jingles are taking up about an hour of this podcast at the moment. So, Mr Shepu, tell us a bit about yourself, a bit about your hobbies, because you're somewhat of an enigma.
Well, me, I was born in London, and as I grew, it was the east side, east end of London.
East side. He was
Yeah.
on the east side.
Yeah, of
East
London.
side, yeah.
And I was from a young age, I was into football quite a lot.
There you go. It's nice to play
Go
football.
on, you Reds.
And
That's
I used to play
thing.
every weekend in my local park.
Did you play with others, or was this a purely solo
we
venture?
no, there was a few from my secondary school. We used to all go and have a kickabout down there.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
And
What kind of kickabout? What you mean as in kick around the person? Or?
football.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Stop implying that Mr Shepu has a very violent side that cannot be
Well,
controlled.
he just said that he lives on. He lives on the east side. You see.
Oh yeah.
He said he lived on the east side of London, but like EastEnders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard about David Wicks? Is back.
No, but I
You
don't
seem
watch.
to know more about the east side of London than we do.
But we're learning about Mr Shepu's life, not EastEnders. So, Mr Shepu, you loved football growing up, and what team did you support?
I was a Arsenal fan,
Excellent. You was.
and I still am.
You
I
still are
am,
to
yeah.
this very day.
Yeah.
You was, but you still are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you used to wear your Arsenal shirt, didn't you, when you went out playing
Yes, I
football
did.
with your friends? And on the back you had
You know what, Mr.
Dennis
Wilkins is?
Bergkamp,
Exactly, number 10.
number 10, printed on the back,
Exactly.
which was lovely. Who's your favourite player at the moment, Edis?
I don't have one. I don't
Just
like
make one
football.
up, just to sound cool.
Dennis Rickman.
Dennis Rickman. The guy- The guy that sadly died in EastEnders was a prominent footballer.
Yeah, I
through
saw
the
it.
1990s.
He just came in my head right now because I was thinking about the song that I played.
Oh,
Don't
Dennis
stop
Ray.
me now.
That was a sad time in the history of EastEnders.
Yeah.
So Mr Shepu, obviously you went to secondary school on the east side.
Yep.
Did you ever battle schools from the west side? Similar to Biggie and Tupac.
We did.
Yeah, you
we-
did. And there
we
was
did.
blood.
There was bullets everywhere flying around as well.
Wow, it's lucky that you made it out really to
Survived.
this profession. And
Seen
your-
a lot
Why
of
don't you
bad
grow a
things there.
beard, Mr Shepu, like a proper bushy one?
Mr Shepu did try to grow a beard.
And then he failed and then he put it away.
Yeah, it was
Just
just.
put it back in the drawer.
It's just in the east side. There's a lot of blades around down there.
So unfortunately, they took his beard off
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
to make him feel disgusted with himself and humiliated, and they
Well, I certainly
put the
feel
beard up on a
disgusted.
pole to warn others. That
No beards over here.
is that how they speak?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
No
quite good.
beards over here.
They're all Irish over in the west side. That's pretty good. But yeah, I did hear the west side of London is populated mainly by Irish men.
Yeah.
So, is there any questions, Eddies, that you would like to ask Mr. Shepu yourself?
Would you ever dye your hair pink?
Wow.
Wow. I'll probably dye it red for the the Arsenal colours.
There we go.
Well, there's more. What do you mean? There's only one and it's red.
Yeah,
You don't know anything about Arsenal.
But they have white on their sleeves as well.
Yeah, but that's only because white. Yeah, but white isn't the colour. White is just a plain thing.
That's quite controversial, it is.
Yeah.
That's quite
Like
mad.
that Mac. Look, the iMac's white.
So if I said to you what colour do you want your iMac, you'll say, I don't know,
Clear.
because the
Clear.
colour that doesn't exist, that it
Clear.
is.
I'd say I want it clear.
That would look nice actually, wouldn't it? Like,
Yeah.
just clear, and you can see the inner workings of
Yeah.
the Mac. Didn't
Like
that
my
used to
iMac
be?
G3.
Yeah, the one with the big back,
The big back.
and it was like green, wasn't it? What was that one called?
The iMac G3.
And is that a good computer?
I have a graphite model. But, guess what? Lately, maybe I think was it yesterday? Yeah, I got myself.
That's very lately.
I got myself a Flower Power iMac.
That's
which
very
was
nice.
the last model of the G. Well, I think it was either Flower Power or there was like a white one. Right, there was the Flower Power. There's one with like blue.
It's okay, Eddie. It's okay. Flower power.
Flower Power iMac,
Yeah.
which is very rare,
And
right?
it sounds quite peaceful.
It is.
Yeah,
It is. It's very.
which is very nice.
I might show you a picture of that one day.
Thank you very much, Eddies. And with that, we go through to our last piece on Mr. Shepu. Okay, so Mr. Shepu, your last question time today.
Okay.
And this section is called, Is This True, Mr. Shepu? Okay, Mr. Shepu. 1 out of every 20 people have an extra rib, true or false?
True.
That is true. 23% of children watch TV before bed, true or false?
True.
That's actually false, it's 44%.
Okay.
Do you watch TV before you go to bed, Eddies?
Yeah, I watched the Bill
The Bill?
on repeat.
Do you remember The Bill when the opening credits were just two people
Dun
walking?
dun dun
Yeah.
dun.
That was very boring.
Dun dun.
Do you remember that, Eddies, or was that before your time? They were just walking along a cobbled street,
Yeah.
a male and female officer, and the camera was just following their legs.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. It was really inappropriate. Mr. Shepu, Jenga is the second best-selling game of all time.
Jenga? No.
False.
That is actually true. I know. It doesn't say what the first most popular game is. What would you
Stupid.
say it would be?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
No, ball game.
Oh.
I'd say it's probably Connect 4, Snakes or not Snakes or Ladders, Snakes and Ladders.
I was thinking maybe Monopoly.
That is very true. That is very true. Do you play Monopoly, Mr. Shepu?
I did before when I was younger. Yeah.
I did
Back in
before
the
when I
gangster days.
Yeah, them days.
Right. So, last one here. More people are killed by donkeys than by cars.
False.
That is actually true. Can you imagine that, it is?
Yeah.
Because some countries, they use donkeys as transport because they can't afford cars. And some of the cars they do
Fire
drive
up the donkey.
would cause a fatal collision in this country. They drive around with no wheels, not no wheels, but no doors. You see some of these cars in some of these countries, and they're absolutely awful. And that was, is this true, Mr Shepu? Okay, so that just about wraps up today's podcast.
Hang on, you forgot about my album. What's it called?
No, we spoke about your album before.
Yeah, but there's more than one track on it. We talked about track 9, didn't we?
Well, we can talk about track 5 if you like.
Okay.
Because I have it ready here for you to perform live.
Okay.
And it's called My Darkest Hour. Now this is yet another dark song from your debut album. And what is it about your darkest hour that you find solace in?